evidence, and it's not valuable. Any kind of evidence. Then, in the same law, the citizenship concept, for all these thousands of years, even now, I would say, Dalits, Adivasis are not considered as the citizens, even though we have supposedly having a constitution. It's a republic. India is a republic. A constitution is there, and there are rights, fundamental rights, and other kinds of rights recognized through constitution and the legal system. But in actual terms and in the social reality, these people, vast majority of the people of this country, of India, is known as India now. They don't have the citizen rights. They don't have the civil rights. They don't have the democratic rights. They have no way in which they can speak out there. So, for Dalits, now we call Dalits, it's a political term. It's a term for the political mobilizations of the Dalits. But untouchables, like in 60s, the comparison that the Dalits made was the black slaves in US were given food by the masters after the work. But these untouchables, they were the slaves. They had to work for the Savarnas, that is the Brahmins. But at the end of the day, the Brahmins had no responsibility to feed them. And they had to live outside the village, outside the living inhabitants. So they had to live and go out after doing the work the whole day. And they can return back and look for the leftovers from the plates of the Brahmins, which are left outside the house and for a distance. Only they are supposed to eat that, and nothing else they should eat. Or else they can eat the meat of the dead animals thrown out by the Brahminical castes. They cannot kill an animal and eat. Only they can eat the dead animals, the meat of the dead animals. That was for so many years. So that was the kind of worst situation, and every point of their life they compared the black people who were protesting and who were raising their voice. It gave a big inspiration to these people. There were movements of Dalits before 1960s, but those movements were not so become so significant because every time they were suppressed. For the first time in the history of India, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, during that time, for the last, before that time, before 60s, 50s and 60s, he gave a theory, he gave a direction to the movement of Dalits. And he was really instrumental in bringing the information from the US about what the black people were doing here. And he led the movement. He gave a direction, he gave an analysis of history. And with the background of the Ambedkar's movement, which led by him, and the Black Panthers movement going on here, a movement, a social movement of highest order, was initiated in Maharashtra, of the Maharashtra part of India. You can see here. This is Nagpur. This is the central place where it started, this movement. And Mumbai, two places. They came up with, in 1972, I mean 60s, 64 onwards to 70s, the heydays of the Black Panthers movement was here, if I'm not wrong. And the influence and the consolidation of this thought from here happened by 1972, and in 72 April, a declaration was made by a huge number of Dalit people who were educated and non-educated and all kinds of people who were already in the movement of Ambedkar movement. They announced a declaration of Dalit Panthers movement. Dalit Panthers, it's called Dalit Panthers movement. And in that declaration, they mentioned that there is a very radical movement. It first rejected the independence of India. The concept of independence of India was rejected totally for the first time by this group of people. Supposedly, 1947, the British left India and India became independent. And these people, they said, if we don't have the freedom, if we are not the citizens, if we don't have any rights, how can this country be independent?